Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. I think the United States actually gave the King and Queen of England a run for their money in terms of pomp and circumstance. Hilary Fordwich may have an argument with that point, but Hilary, how do you think we did?
Actually, David, you read my mind. I was going to say I'm English born, but I'm a proud American. And I actually was watching thinking, gosh, we learned from the best, and don't we do it just as well? I thought that was absolutely smashing. I think actually President Trump, we can be very proud of his remarks because he said it all.
Yes.
I think sticking to script was very unusual for him and good for him. I think he did maybe did a little off the cuff there when he turned to Melania and mentioned about the duration of their marriage and not being 3 years.
That was definitely off the cuff. I think it was also off the cuff to suggest that his mother had a crush on then Prince Charles as well.
Oh, you picked out the same thing that I did, because David, I was thinking tomorrow. Remember when I opened this up and I said I don't know how he's going to start out literally tomorrow when he addresses the joint session. His mother was so brilliant when she said, can you see me now? Because of course, because of Podiumgate, because the day before when she'd been with George W. Bush, who was so tall, she was so little at the podium that all you saw was the microphone. And I was thinking, how on earth can he outdo that? Maybe he should start with something like, I'm here not to just renew the special relationship, but the special crush. Yes,
yes. Well, you know what he did, which I loved, connecting this generation, the generation that is seeing the King and Queen here for the first time, to what happened during World War II and the aftermath of World War II, when there was that very special alliance between the United States and the UK that led to the demise of Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. It was such a wonderful friendship, and of course, it was a friendship between two leaders that we don't exactly have. We have it between the King of England and the United States President, but not necessarily with the PM. Back then, of course, the PM was Winston Churchill, and very often Donald Trump has used Winston Churchill as an example, not only for a kind of leadership that he admires, but he even suggested that he wished there was somebody like Churchill in power in the UK now, politically speaking.
Oh, he did. Absolutely correct, David, because he referred to Sir Keir Starmer as no Winston Churchill. And that, obviously that's a dagger in the heart of any Brit. But may I just add to your point about the Second World War? Not many Americans might have heard this. My mummy's brother, my uncle, was in the British SAS Special Forces. And when he would come home, of course, all the girls were gaga about all these American soldiers. And they were all based there in southern England getting ready for D-Day. And the English expression was, they're over here, they're overpaid, and they're oversexed. And he said, beware those Yanks. Because but there were a lot of marriages came out of that.
We did have a reputation. I know my dad was in World War II, and we did have a reputation for that. But the other thing between Churchill and Trump that a lot of people are pointing to, particularly with regard to what's happening with Iran, Churchill ended an attitude of appeasement towards Nazi Germany that of course led to the introduction of Brits to the Second World War within one lifetime, and it was a very serious decision, one that was criticized at the time by a lot of people, like his predecessor, his immediate predecessor, Churchill's, is saying he was a warmonger, et cetera. Trump has had to endure some of those kind of critiques for what he's doing in Iran as well. But both men refused to use appeasement to give in to horrific attacks on democracies around the world. And of course, a nuclear threat to our democracies would be the worst that we had seen. And that's what Iran was becoming. And that's why President Trump went in there and has been involved in this conflict for several months. So there is that comparison, the not accepting appeasement comparison between Churchill and Trump.
Oh, you're absolutely correct there. And particularly, we find ourselves in the place that we are today also with regard to Ukraine, because President Obama did absolutely nothing when Putin marched into Crimea. And so Putin took that as, oh, lovely, the West is going to do absolutely nothing. So it's like children. If you give me a naughty, bad behaved child, I'll give you a weak parent that the child doesn't fear in the slightest and thinks they can get away with anything. And now with regard to Iran, many people have said this, I'm not the first, but when a country does chant chant, even in their parliament, death to America for 47 years, you do have to take them seriously. And when they keep insisting on wanting these nuclear weapons, you only want nuclear weapons for one reason, that's to use them. But I think very good news today, David, was to hear that the Iranians are basically admitting to be on the verge of collapse. That's why we saw the markets turning green, literally, as we were going into watching this with King Charles. So I think we're coming full circle. And something that President Trump, I really admire probably the most about him, is that so many politicians go with the wind and they go with the polls. He has a true North Star. How do we know this factually? This is not a political statement. This is factually, because going back to 1984, you can see the clips of him interviewed. He always said the same thing. He always said that we should have the tariffs, we were being ripped off by the rest of the world. He's had a true North Star on tariffs. He's had a true North Star with regard to Iranians. That's when you can believe someone. I think he truly cares about this nation. And people that think that he's taking us to war, there are no boots on the ground, because he's one of the few leaders we've ever heard on any side of the Atlantic, David, talk about he does not want the carnage. He does not want the dead bodies. That's very important.
Well, Hilary, you clearly care about both nations as now an American citizen and obviously from the U.K. originally. Thank you so much for hanging with us throughout this. I really appreciate your input on all of this. Hilary, thank you.
You're welcome. Give my regards to my fellow Englishmen, Stu.
I sure will. Absolutely.